Let's turn our volume on so we can actually hear. So I believe we're streaming live.
It was a little bit early, and we're still waiting for Peter, but that's okay.
I'll go and get him. I promise we'll come back.
He's gone out for lunch.
Okay,
This
so
is a little bit weird looking down here. We have to look up here.
we do. We need to
up
look up
there,
here.
don't we?
That's for
That's
sure.
really weird.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, hi, Paige. Can you see us all right? Are you streaming? Okay. Is it, have you got the questions? Or?
I do. There you go.
That was a little bit.
I found him.
We're on.
Found him wandering the hallways.
I was, this isn't live, is it?
Yeah, we are live.
It is absolutely live.
Paige, press the button.
Well, I won't tell you where I was.
Do you know?
Oh, everything recorded.
There we go.
Recording as well.
The good sound of that. So if this is the way it's going to go, I'm really excited. So we have started very, very fun, I think. So we're joined today by Peter Thorpe and Kelvin Deer from ABN, Australian Bookkeepers Network, and you guys have been directors for 22 years.
22 years.
Holy
I mean, he doesn't look 25.
I know, it's unbelievable. So gosh, I can't believe it. And you've got over 4,000 members,
Yep.
which is revolutionary to me as well. So I didn't know that. But many people love to hear you guys talk on Bookkeeper Radio, and we love the fun and the interaction.
Bit of promo.
Of course, absolutely. We all love it because it's light, it's fun, it's energetic, and we want to keep that thing going, don't we, Katrina? So we're going to start off by asking you guys some fun sort of questions.
Go.
We want to get into the nitty-gritty to learn, some different things about the bookkeeping world, because obviously 22 years of experience with bookkeepers. We're really looking to pick your brains about that, where you think it's come from and what the future holds for that. But let's start with some fun stuff.
Let's go.
What do you do for fun, guys? What do
Well,
I don't have any fun.
give me some hints. Fun at the moment is probably a little bit of golf. So we divested in accounting practice just over 12 months ago, or not quite 12 months ago. So we're coming up to the end of that, and that was a pretty intense period. But part of the divestment process was saying we're going to have a little bit more fun.
Yep.
So he and I are, he's a better golfer than I am, but we try and do Fridays at a golf course. And that's probably most of our fun, other than, going and seeking out bookkeepers and having fun with our members along the way. So we were just down in Sydney. We had a great coffee club down there with our team down there, and bit of fun along the way.
Speaking of coffee, that's what else I do for fun. I grow coffee.
You grow
coffee.
coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
I'm a coffee farmer.
Where do you do that? Where
Oh, I've got this plantation. It's in my front yard. So
I love it.
Coffee farming on the weekend. So I've been harvesting. So we're into season 5.
Yeah.
So I sort of grow it and then prepare it and roast it. And
Oh, wow.
grind it.
And I think you worked out an average cost, didn't you? The average
Yeah.
cost per kilogram is about
$1,000. It works out about $1 a kilo for water and about $999 for the beer you drink while you're watering your coffee tree. So, but it kicks you out of trouble, and it's a good challenge.
Yeah. Who's the better golf player?
Oh, he is.
Oh,
I did have a head start on him.
Yeah.
I started when I was a little
Started
tacker.
younger.
okay.
He's got 7 on me, so.
Yeah,
Nice.
so we're getting there, but they were enjoying it. Yeah, so anything that has fun, bit of travel.
Yeah.
That was travel places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your dream location to play golf at? I mean, there's a few nice places.
Oh, we did have a game, this is a few years ago now, but we went over to Hawaii for a work function. We played this beautiful course called Whaling
Blue.
Yeah, and that was magnificent.
Yeah, that was
course,
good.
like overlooking whatever ocean they are on over there, Pacific or something.
I'm busy in the Pacific.
Yeah.
You're right in the middle of it.
But that's probably the best golf course we've ever played at. But
I'd love to get to some big names and stuff.
yeah, but we were hoping for a trip. Pete turned a big number, but well, not once that big number. Pete turned an age birthday a couple of years ago, but COVID unfortunately kicked us out of the club. And we had a golf tour planned with a number of his mates, and just didn't quite get there. We're going to put it back on the agenda, aren't we?
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So it's all opening up, definitely.
That's the best thing about COVID. There's always an opportunity to do it.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah. So if you're in Tasmania, Barnbougle, coming to you.
Barnbougle. Bookkeeper Radio does Barnbougle. Will that make a tax deductible?
Must surely.
Did we say that out
Not
loud? This is recorded.
Okay, so Katrina and I are avid readers. I just finished Grow Rich, Lucky Bitch by Denise Duffield-Thomas. I highly recommend that book. Katrina,
Yeah, I'm
what are you
reading it.
reading at the moment?
Well, I'm
Are you
actually
reading it?
reading it.
I recommended it.
Yeah.
So what are the top 3 books you guys would recommend for bookkeepers that you've read?
Well,
This is a challenge. Well, in order, my last 3 books were the Tide Guide on Fraser Island, so where the high tide and low tide is.
Awesome.
Before that, I read Wally Lewis's autobiography.
Nice.
And the most important one I read was one back a little bit called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Nice.
So I actually got a lot out of that early on, and I got my kids when they could digest it and said, there's a copy each.
Nice.
Yeah.
And to see that sort of come to something and some principles and some practices and things that they put in place,
Yeah.
well, that worked. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
good.
but I'm not a big reader.
no, well, we had this conversation.
Oh, hang on.
That was the one question. We should get the girls to sort of cross that one out.
I've got one book I read.
Have you?
The STP2 guidebook written by this fella.
There you go.
There you go.
80 pages of just
That's the most recent book I've read. It was good. It was the best one.
So to add to that, probably Superman comics, right into those.
Yeah.
No. In terms of bookkeeping, I suppose I read one a little while ago. It was actually How to Say No. And, I think that's a big thing sometimes in bookkeeping. Like, your clients ask you so much stuff, and sometimes you've actually got to say no. I don't want to do that, or I can't do that. So this was I can't remember who the author was. It was someone that gave it to me and said, "Oh, this might be good for people in the industry." So I'll read that. And it was a good read, but I can't remember the last one.
That sounds a good one.
Yeah.
I like
Are
that.
you planning on writing a book?
You finished writing one.
Other than the SCP, like version 3?
Oh,
We batted around often in terms of the memoirs.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some great stories over the years, but it wouldn't be a series book. This would be a memoir book on things that have happened over the journey.
HR incidents and things over the years. Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
yeah, some things that we've been through, and you go, oh, you should write a book.
So I've got these mental notes there. Must put that in the book.
Okay, so you guys have been hanging around bookkeepers for 22 years now. So what's the biggest takeout for you guys from that? The biggest lesson that you've learned that you could share with bookkeepers that would help them on their journey?
Probably a couple. I always find relationships are key in our industry, accountants and bookkeepers, and if you can build a strong relationship, you'll have a client for life. Irrespective of whether you've got to bring in other resources into your bookkeeping business to assist your client, but you can become that that focal point, that centre of their universe if you have that great relationship with them. So certainly relationships to me is probably high on that list. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, looking back on 22 years when we started, there was a fairly barren landscape for bookkeepers. Like, they weren't even a recognised species back then. Like, the tax department didn't talk to bookkeepers formally. You had to go knocking on their door and say, guys, you need to speak to bookkeepers.
It's incredible.
And from that date through to formal registration with the tax board, through to the full range of services that government now build out just for bookkeepers and BAS agents, it's been a massive run. You compare that to what, say, the accounting profession went through, still doing what they did 22 years ago pretty well. Maybe got a little bit more technology, but not that much. And I think, as you said, big fella, I think the relationship is the big thing. The relationship has, I'll say, a little bit been forced on bookkeepers, because bookkeepers are there by habit. Bookkeepers are at the front end of the information gather, which means they're using software, they're teaching their clients stuff. So they have a repetitious style relationship with their clients, and as a consequence, they build a relationship. So it's a great place to leverage that accountants don't have, because they're normally looking backwards. And, varying levels backwards. So.
Yeah. And probably the other thing that flows from that, because as you say, a lot of information is being forced on bookkeepers, but the other thing I think we've spoken to bookkeepers about, particularly in the last, since JobKeepers come in, is their time management, because they've had so much ordinary, normal day-to-day work put on them, but then all of a sudden it's JobKeeper, now it's STP2, and so there's this constant evolution of bookkeepers having to learn, and I think sometimes they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed in their roles and kind of going, stop putting all this stuff on us. So time management, I think, is another key area that bookkeepers really should be focusing on.
Yeah.
What have you noticed for the bookkeepers that do that well? What are they doing different from the people that aren't managing their time as well as they could?
I would say bookkeepers who have, you know, solid systems, solid processes in their business, and that can just be for themselves, or it could be for a team of people. But often people think, oh, well, I don't need systems and processes. I'm an individual because I'll just get there and get it done. But I think the reality is if they map out their day, map out their week, their month, whatever time frame they happen to be, you know, working on or out, they can kind of start to see, you know, where the you know the pain points are going to be. And typically, you know, we've just been talking recently, haven't we, about the June, early July being those pain points. We've got TPR and end of year finalisations for payroll, and obviously getting the accountants sort of packs together to get that information into accountants' hands. So there's a big time compression around this time of year, and we sort of find that bookkeepers are those who have systems and processes to manage that often, you know, do much better than the ones that are just flying by the seat of their pants.
Do you girls know anyone that has helped bookkeepers with systems and processes?
Question.
But that's the trouble, right? Isn't it? It's like, you know, when you're busy already to carve that time out to do systems, it's just like, oh, well, I'm already busy. When am I going to carve that time out? But the pain is only short-lived. If you do that over 3 months, you know that if you systemize, it's going to free up so many months and years of your life.
This is not an advertisement, by the way.
No. But it's so true.
I mean, for pure bookkeeping.
No, it's true. And I think the other ones that have done well in terms of organisation are those that have taken the push or the nudge to employ. There is only so many hours in the day, and we saw it with small accounting practices. They really do struggle. There's a size you've got to get to be able to A, keep up to date, B, have the labour left over to do a decent job for your clients. So I think, and we're seeing in your survey is that bookkeepers are increasingly their employment rate. I think it's up around 40% or thereabouts. Wind that clock back in some years ago, and it was a sliver that actually employed. So the industry's been more formalised. I think with that comes employment and what have you, and that's probably a way of getting those efficiencies in there as well.
Leverage yourself with employees.
Well.
Cool.
Exactly.
Okay, the next one is, tell me something about your journey that surprised you that your professional development could not have prepared you for.
Oh, that's a toughie.
Okay, first.
No.
I'll do that one. I didn't realise I had to work hard and be good to my mother. And that seems to be the key for me. Like if I did that, then the rest of it fell into place. No, but I think I'd come back to the relationship side of it. I mean, you can be taught all the technical content and all the, you know, the I guess that working, now you do have to work hard, you do have to have that technical ability, but it's the relationship part again that no one teaches you that. It's the phone skills, it's the soft skills, it's those things that you actually have to do day to day as a business owner. And that surprised me because I thought, well, people who teach you this stuff know that that's one of the keys to the success of being a business. And yet the soft skills, I think, are often undertaught.
Probably, I think the only thing that I did pick up on, and it goes across our business and other businesses, is just that that discipline to be persistent with something and just to keep pushing along. You think, oh, this is getting nowhere, and then you persist and you go, the lights come on and you get there. It's easy to give up sometimes. I think persistence is a
and resilience as well.
Yes.
Happy
to take a knock and
come back.
Don't take it
personally.
No, don't take it personally. You just be persistent and you'll get there.
So relationships are around like they're critical, non-essentials. It's critical, but it's not essential to develop that sort of relationship skills with people. How did you guys, having your accounting firm, how did you learn to build relationships with your clients so they were really sticky?
I think that's a little bit of the persistence thing as well. To be regular in terms of contact with them, but just talk to them. There's no script for advisory. We talked about that earlier. There's no question 1, question 2 on success. It's just being open and friendly and having a chat, but knowledgeable and know your stuff. But it's a conversation.
And turning up.
And repetition.
And don't be afraid to say that I don't know how to do that. I can find you someone that can, but I don't know how to do that. And you actually
that's not a fail.
You actually get more respect out of your time. And they'll come back and go, well, you know, KD put me in touch with this person to help me with inventory management, whatever it happens to be. But don't be afraid to say no.
But aren't we afraid to say I don't know? It's a funny thing, isn't it?
Mm.
And it's okay to know, because we can't know everything, can we?
No, that's right. Yeah.
One of the other things I think also with a relationship is that we care.
Mm.
We care about them as
Yes.
well as their business. So we want to put ourselves in that position to be able to have those conversations and allow them to ask us and then, you know, to be able to help them out.
And that's a very good point, Katrina, because to me, like the caring factor really shone through our JobKeeper. A lot of bookkeepers, as we found out, and even we're talking to some down in Canning Business Expo last week, but a lot of bookkeepers did unpaid work during that period of time. And
That was a disaster. I mean, I know they're trying to do the right thing, but I mean, I still think they should have done it and charged for it, even if they discounted the bill. Because if they don't see the bill and know what's involved, there's no value for what you've given back.
Yes,
It must be that easy. You've done it for free.
Yeah.
There was quite a lot in that. There was a lot of work in particularly some of those JobKeeper tests. They weren't easy to get your head around. There was a lot of work. And to give it away without valuing it, that was a mistake.
And there's been some flow on that, hasn't it? There's been some flow on out of that in terms of clients actually saying to bookkeepers, oh, well, you did that for free. I've got this other little project over here. And so now they're wanting to get more and more for free. So
That's right.
no, actually done yourself a bit of harm.
Well, a number of bookkeepers came back and said, when New South Wales and the states were giving out more COVID money, well, you did the last one for free.
Yeah, that's right. No, so now we've got all these grants. So you can do that one.
Do these ones too.
Yeah.
The price was right, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
But I think that was a mistake.
But coming back to the caring, bookkeepers are a very caring industry group of people. And maybe it is, as you say, Katrina, they're at the coalface from the ground up, helping their clients on a more regular basis. So.
We're talking to them every day. You know, have that possibility to. Whereas accountants might not see them until the end of the year or whatever. So we are dealing with the day to day. And I think it's our personality as well. It's sort of that nurturing. We want to improve the systems, improve the results, improve the relationships.
Couldn't agree more.
So my personal belief is it's never been a better time to be a bookkeeper. I think the opportunities for bookkeepers at the moment is amazing. Like we were talking about it before we came on air. But what's your biggest pet peeve in the industry that would stop that amazing abundance with the bookkeepers in the industry?
Oh, I don't have a lot. Yes, I do.
So you have more of these than I do.
Probably pet peeve. I work in the representation space a fair bit, so dealing with the tax office and tax board and treasury and what have you. And knowing that something is so obvious that it needs to be done and it goes at a snail's pace, if at all, and you go, come on, people, get with the program. So probably the pace of necessary change when you're involved government, that's probably government bureaucracy is probably the thing. You know, there's a good outcome here, but you have to have 57 committee meetings and look at it from this angle and that angle, and it, come on, people, move it along. So that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves, and probably it's not a peeve so much as an observation. And you talk about opportunity a moment ago, it's probably the pace of change, like tech change. And you get tech that people come like, we've got to have one of those, and then 6 months later, what was that again? And no one. So there's a lot of you've got to adopt something because it's the flavour of the month, and then let's go on. It's not the latest thing. So probably the pace of change. I think Daniel, my obsession we sat in on, he was talking about he had the TV screen with all these apps on the bottom of it, and said, "There's so much stuff here. You really want to focus it and not have to replicate technology as often as you can."
And I think to probably go back to your first point about the pace of change within the tax department or TPB that can be a little bit slow, but I think deadlines and compression, particularly for bookkeepers, is far greater than it is for accountants. So accountants have a lodgement program that kind of can be started here and progressively staggered, whereas bookkeepers, as I said earlier, this upcoming July period is just an absolute time compression for bookkeepers, and I think you're even working on a deadlines work program at the moment, aren't you? And
well, that's a bit of it's a work in progress at the moment. They're reviewing the total different program
stuff, or is that all?
I can't tell you what's in it, but
in this room.
No, the body of work, they're mindful. They've been told enough that there's certain times of the year that compress workloads for accountants and bookkeepers, and they're seriously looking at it. So that's good.
Yeah, that's
Hopefully,
great.
there's in the remedy of some of those that do get to an end and a conclusion that helps.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Other than that, I don't get people much at all.
No, not much.
Having a fort putt, of course.
Driving off into the water or something.
Okay, so this is a big question. If there are 3 personal attributes you see in successful bookkeepers that the rest of us could work on to build those skills in, what would they be? So things like intelligence, grit, drive, personality, commitment, optimism, self-discipline, persistence, passion, things like that. What would you say across the board that you see pop up as like, look, she or he knows what they're doing, they're really got some goals and they're kicking them. Why do you think they are?
I guess if I look back at the accountant's journey that I had and looked at how that became a successful journey, for me it was probably firstly just your knowledge and understanding of the industry that you're working in. And bookkeeping can be such a diverse area, and you can specialise in that. So we were talking earlier about payroll being a specialist type area. But if you are good at what you do, I think that's step number one. Be good at what you do, and sometimes you don't have to be the be all and end all for everything. But pick the things that you really are good at, learn them really well, and put yourself out there as an expert in that space. So that would be probably number one. To be a driven person, I think you touched on that earlier. Like you've got to have that purpose and drive about you to succeed. And I think don't be afraid to fail. We've had things that we've had a crack at over time, both within the accounting practice and ABN, that you kind of spent a lot of time doing, a lot of energy putting it into, but you didn't quite get there. You don't sort of bottom lip out. And you just sort of go, okay, well that one didn't work. Why didn't it work? Assess why it didn't work. Go back to the drawing board and have a look at something else, or tweak the one you've got. I guess the third one for me would just be optimism. And Sharon, you probably touched on it that. There's so much opportunity in the bookkeeping space at the moment for bookkeepers. There's as much work as they want. So be optimistic about your future because it's a bright one.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
So I'd probably take it a little bit different. I went to a seminar many years ago. They talked about how professionals are rated by their clients, and affability, ability, which is the technical knowledge, and approachability. So affable, approachable, and accessible. And ability rated last.
Right,
because not because they didn't think it was important, they just assumed everyone had that knowledge.
Right.
It was an assumption that you're at the table, you had an underlying level of knowledge. So in other words, it doesn't really matter. that comes without saying. So then it comes down to, okay, well, where do you go from there? And I think you look at the successful bookkeepers out there, they've got some courage. They're actually, when you've got no employees and then suddenly you've got one, well, suddenly you've got someone who you're responsible for feeding and keeping work up to and what have you. So you've doubled your workforce. So the guts to have a crack at stuff, the people skills, and I think you touched on it before, the ability just to hold a conversation with a client, show some enthusiasm and probably a sense of fun. You can't fake it till you make it to a point, and you've got to have that knowledge. But I think the really successful, there's a lot of really smart, unsuccessful people out there.
Isn't
So there's got to be something different. So I think there's enthusiasm, sense of fun, good people.
Not very power. I don't need knowledge. Cross that line.
No, you do. Eventually you come unstuck. You don't have it. But it does give you the comfort and the courage to have a crack knowing that you know shit.
Right.
I think also being inquisitive.
Yes.
About education, about knowledge, about systems, about the bright shiny things, and working out which one is the right one. But and about the business as well, about the client's business, about finding a bit more about going deeper.
Yeah.
So, keeping that creative thinking, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the thing I love about reading books is that you can get into somebody's brain and take the last 20, 30 years of their head and learn it in a couple of days or a week or a couple of weeks. So we've got the opportunity to hear from you guys of 22 years of experience with bookkeepers and where they've erred, where it hasn't worked. What are the things that you've seen that, like, if somebody's heading down a path where you go, you just wouldn't go there? And it's for the new people in the industry that you've seen so much over the last 22 years of like, you just wouldn't do that.
So we're talking about the guy that's early on in his business journey. And look, it just applies back into our previous life as bean counters. But talking to enough bookkeepers over 22 years is that don't take on dodgy clients. Even if it's important to get fed, don't take them on. They will end up biting you in the bum. Don't be a discounter. Value your time, so don't be a discounter. And don't think small.
That's great advice.
I've got two of the same. So.
I just copy.
I sort of also had the I guess don't take on too much. So I think those early people who want to get out there and they really want to get into it, but sometimes they sort of take on too much work. And the ones that I guess I've seen fail over time have sort of been those ones where they're taking on too much. They haven't given the client the value or their value, and therefore the client sort of going, I'm either not the client for you because you've underserviced me, or alternatively, you're just simply taking on too much and you haven't given the client the time that they deserve. So that, to me, that's probably an additional one. But the other two, give away your time. We've seen so much of that, particularly since JobKeeper, and that to me is one of the biggest no-nos. So that would be your two.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I actually copy kids on it.
Oh dear. So let's pretend we've gone down that line and we've priced low. We've got dodgy clients that just don't respect us and don't like us and keep ringing in the middle of the night or whatever it is, and just not giving us the sort of value that we should deserve. What's the biggest turnaround you've seen from somebody? So they're in that space and they've gone, enough. What was the turning point and what did they do to get out of that little sticky point to get them on their way to go again?
No easy one in that one. But eventually you have to stick. It has to hurt. If you're already gone down the track, you've got to be hurt first before, once you experience the pain and there's a realisation you have to change, well then, okay, it mightn't be easy because you might have by habit reinforced bad clients, discounting and all the rest of it. You just have to say, no, I've reshaped my business. This is how I'm be working from here on down. If they don't want to stay, then that's okay too. They don't fit.
So it's almost got to hurt really bad for you to change, is it? Like, have you seen that?
I think you've sort of hit it on the head because, like, if you head down a pathway and let's say that it happens to be the client charge rate, and as we said earlier, JobKeeper was part of that as well, where bookkeepers started to head in this pathway of giving away the time, and all we've seen as a result of that is clients that sort of saying, oh, well, here's the next round of grants, do that for me for free as well, even though they've got more profit back into their business again. But you've got to really be prepared to sort of look at why you failed, irrespective of what it is, and actually be prepared to sort of literally draw a line in the sand. And that could be, pricing. It could be, the time that you've put into a business that results in, you're working ridiculous hours. But you've got to be able to say whatever it is that's causing you to fail, because sometimes putting too much time into your business actually turns out to be that fail point because you just. You're working nights and weekends, other commitments around family or whatever. So I think you've got to be really careful about what you choose as your pain point and be prepared to acknowledge it and maybe sort of start to wind it back a bit. And that might be, as you said, mate, saying no to clients or no to new tasks or handing clients off or changing your pricing structure, or whatever it happens to be. But I think you've got to be prepared to acknowledge that failure.
I had a real life one.
Did you? Yeah,
it was at our real life turnaround. It was exactly on that. Bookkeeper suffering all the pain points, working horrendous hours, doing it for not the right price and all the rest of it. She went to our Bondi conference, and we had a fair bit of business building in that one, in communications and valuing your time and how to employ and that sort of stuff. And the lady who went to that one, she cornered me at the conference after that. She said, I listened, I took your guidance. I went and employed 2 bookkeepers. I did this, I allocated that. You know what? Thank you. It worked.
It worked.
It worked. She said, I did step off the cliff quite blindly. Didn't know if it was going to work, but I got there. So, that was a step off the cliff.
And half the battle in my mind is actually acknowledging that. Like acknowledging that there's something wrong here. And how do what is it and how do I fix it?
Yeah. You do have to take that leap of faith. You've got to believe in yourself and just go for it.
Yeah.
If you're teetering, you've got to go for it and give it a go.
Yeah, for sure.
And the biggest growth that you get, like personally and professionally, is when you do that, isn't it?
That's right.
Isn't
Yeah.
it? That,
Yeah.
like, that's the biggest kicker of all. It's so amazing the growth that you get once you step into that. I do value my services. This is my price. If you don't like it, see you later.
Yeah, I think we're seeing more of that in the younger generation who are prepared to accept that they've stuffed something up. I think you oldies. No,
so well for that point, wasn't it?
no, but I think there has been a generational mindset change around, like, you're allowed to fail. You're allowed to have some bad things happen in your world and come back from that.
Yeah.
As long as you learn from it.
That's
like,
right.
you don't want to then roll over and just
Start
Don't do it,
You don't want to analyse what happened just then.
Exactly.
Yeah, fix it.
Yeah.
True.
Excellent. How are we going for time?
I don't know.
We have got plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
Yeah,
Okay, so we can keep going with these questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good one. What's the most common thing you see that is a quick fix in a bookkeeping business that has a huge influence on bookkeepers' bottom line or their success in their business? It's something that you can just do quickly.
I'll do that one because
Okay.
it appears every year in the survey. And to me, that's
Yeah.
fixed fee and fixed pricing. And just, you can do your hourly rate thing, but at the end of the day, if you actually, and we've seen it happen, for multiple businesses that we've spoken to over the time, that if they look at that one issue and say, instead of just a pure hourly rate charge, if they can actually bundle and package and actually come up with a program that says, okay, for this fee, I'm going to deliver this work and scope it properly, we've found those businesses have been far more profitable and a very easy fix in your business. Like that's probably my number one.
Yeah, and that's pretty high up there, big fella, because you once you've done that, then you've got the incentive to go out there and find the right technology for the client to build the efficiency. So it makes sense. The old hourly charge one where it favours you to be inefficient doesn't make any sense to me. So I think the fixed fee in a rapidly evolving technological space that bookkeepers are in makes absolute sense, because the outcomes for the client are as good or better if you go down the track, but you get great leverage out of your time too. Biggest thing, again, we've already touched on these, but valuing your own time, valuing it properly, and employing. If you've got problems because you can't manage your time because you haven't got enough of it, then you've got to have to buy someone else's in principle. So it is easier said than done, but you've got to do it and manage it well. Do people know some that provide systems that help guide employees, how to find employees, how to look after them? You got any hints there? Yeah, well, there you go. We've been asked all the questions. So if I'm a bookkeeper and I'm going to be employing, you've got any great systems about finding and looking after retaining?
We happen to have the whole recruiting system in there.
There you go.
Skills testing. Make sure you do skills tests before you put people on, and that's part of it as well, isn't it? Is finding the right person.
That's where you ask them which side the debits go on and the credits on, and whether the round ones are CDs or.
I'm lucky I don't have to do that anymore. We outsource that to Kelly these days. Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
So what percentage would you say that are doing the fixed pricing that you hear from, and what's the resistance, do you think, around that? If it's such a critical quick fix and it can make a big difference in your business, why aren't many of us doing it?
Yeah, the resistance in my view is the challenge to have the conversation with your client. So in other words, I've been doing this for so long, they're used to me saying, oh, you were here for 3 hours, there's my price per hour, there's my bill.
Yeah.
But having the courage, I guess, to sort of step up and say, well, look, I can do more for you, I'm going to bundle it, and this is how I'm going to package it. To me, it's just having the courage to have that conversation with your client.
Yeah, and that's all about the skill around building that relationship with the staff.
Confidence.
Because the other side of that is, you often see it in the client businesses that they're changing their pricing structures or the way that they bill or the way that they do things within their businesses. And you've got to think of bookkeepers no different to that. They're just sitting on the other side of the fence. They're obviously doing the books for that business, but they would see many occasions where, particularly through the COVID pandemic, where businesses have had to restructure in some way, shape or form to remain profitable. And now is still a great time for bookkeepers to have that conversation, because we're still in the midst of a pandemic, and it's an opportune time again, as we were talking earlier. One of the opportunities, well, to me, there couldn't be a better opportunity, because there's more and more work coming out The bookkeepers' prices themselves, their cost structures are going up. And we've just seen TPB price increases on their licences. If they do have staff, we've seen staff rates going up. So there's just an opportune time to actually look at their own business, analyse it, and look at, okay, well, how can I do things more efficiently or priced better or whatever it happened to be in my own business.
That's probably it. It's just that lack of comfort in saying I've changed the way I do business now. That's how I build my clients. It's better for you because you have certainty, how much it's going to cost you a month. So they've got a certainty in budgeting. But just that having that conversation is the biggest. That's the biggest challenge. And there's also some almost conscience value to saying, oh, well, I might be charging you for hours that I didn't put in. Well, the client was happy with you said it before, I want this result, I want to pay that for it, I'm happy with that equation, then everyone's already happy. So why do we have to justify the time that went in to get that result when the client doesn't even want it in the first place? And we found a number of bookkeepers. We actually spoke to someone at the coffee club who had just done it, just got stuck into it, and they were starting to get a result. But invariably, those that do it lose no clients. They do. They're the guy that sat there. No, you were there for 2 hours and 17 seconds. I'm going to dock you $1.50. They're not the clients you wanted anyway. So I think you just have a little bit of courage, a bit of guts to get in there, have your scripts all worked out. This is what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. What's it mean to me? Oh, it's about the same anyway for you at this stage. But guess what? I've got some incentive to do your work more efficiently, finding better software and do stuff better for you.
That's it.
Or no, I'll get someone who's going to charge me so much an hour, and they could sit there for 4 weeks and pay more. I mean, that makes sense. So I think it makes sense. What we got.
It's really encouraging hearing that a lot of bookkeepers are doing it and they're doing it with success. And it is such a quick thing to do, isn't it?
The hardest one's to change over to fixed pricing. Because the industry is now being gradually, I say infiltrated, but there's a migration of new entrants to the bookkeeping community that come from accounting offices, and many of them are used to charging hourly rates. So they're going to actually change their heads. They've been doing it for 10, 20 years. They go, okay, now I'm going to change.
That's it.
That's pretty hard for them to get their heads around.
Yeah. I think Ron Baker started value pricing in 1989.
Right. Oh, really?
It's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a long way to go, haven't we? We do. Because obviously, from fixed price goes value pricing, doesn't it? That's that next level with offering advisory and packaging all that up. And What continually amazes you two about our business? About our industry?
Industry?
You mean other than ourselves?
You wake up every day and look at them and go, I'm amazed.
Thank you for everybody. I'm amazed. I look in the mirror and go,
amazing. Turn up every day. Probably for me, it's the optimism that our industry keeps producing, given some quite adverse circumstances in recent times, and challenges that the industry has faced around, as you say, the tech space. It's just grown at such a fast pace. And if you think about even the last few years, I remember doing the Bookkeeper Radio and sort of, we had someone on saying, it's going to be the death knell of the industry, this, artificial intelligence and all this, software that's capable of doing stuff. Well, couldn't have been a poorer call.
No, it was 180 degrees wrong, wasn't it?
True.
So I think, the bookkeepers are very, they're very giving, very caring, but also very optimistic group. And despite, the challenges that they've seen for job keepers and grants and all the other things, they just keep turning up. And I think STP2 is going to be the next one. We Bookkeeper Radio, and there was some commentary around there about, just one more thing we've got to deliver. We've just done this, now we've got to do that. Many of the comments that started to flow through, but we got this, we can do this.
Isn't that great?
The optimism and the support that they give each other. It's a very optimistic group of people. Yeah,
we had that conversation, Bookkeeper Radio, and then down the Accounting Business Expo. Yes, there's a hurdle to get over with STP too, no doubt. But once you have, guess who's not going to get over it? Clients aren't going to get over it. It's too big for them. So there's more work there for bookkeepers who've got the smarts and they've done, broken the back of the knowledge to do it. So it's opportunity, protected space. It'll be about saying, how good.
We come back every month. And
probably the thing that amazes me most, is the change in technology, amazing. But the actual community the industry has is really huge, I reckon. It's, most people are happy to help one another out, even though they might be that far apart geographically, almost be competitors. But they don't really see themselves often as competitors.
No.
And that's another thing that's changed over time. Like going back in time, everyone's kind of like, oh,
Yes.
I can't talk to that bookkeeper, they'll steal my
Yeah.
client. Whereas now it's very much, we share information and we, if you've got a problem, just give me a call. And if I've got one, can I give you a call? So, yeah.
I don't deal with this bit of software. Can you look after that one?
We actually give each other clients. I don't want this one, they're all yours.
But it's the abundance mentality. I notice that too with my clients and pure bookkeeping licensees. It's just that abundance mentality, which is really lovely, which you don't see a lot in other industries.
No,
do you?
no. Often it's quite a protectionism that's going on in industries where I think bookkeepers are quite giving of their knowledge and their time and their, their expertise where they can help someone else, even, other bookkeepers included.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool. Well, I know there's a lot of people that are probably listening that are just starting out in the industry, or I know I've got a couple of clients that are still working for accountants, wanting to transition over. They've got their first client or their second client. What advice would you give somebody that's just starting out on all the things that they're just starting out? Just starting out, like still working for an accounting firm or just got one or two clients and they're just stepping into the whole arena?
That's an easy one. Join ABN and do the STP2 intensive. In that order. And Pure as well. And join Pure as well. I thought it was a given that if they were listening, they already had joined Pure. But and join Pure. Because they've got the systems and all the processes that will save you a lot of time and get you there faster.
Commercially.
I didn't realise I was being paid to do it for free. No.
I didn't realise you'd been paid.
That would be paid.
That's it. We're done.
All right, I'm going to go now.
We get the green group, green room, someone
Green
grapes.
the grapes and the blue jelly beans.
Yeah, that's right. For me, it's probably just be prepared to have a go. Like just get out there and have a crack. Like, I think it's an old Australian adage, but just give it a go. Like if you've got a passion for bookkeeping and you want to enter the space, well, just have a go, because there's more work that you can jump over. There's people prepared to help you. There's groups and processes and systems that you can get involved in. There's all sorts of courses and specialties that you can align yourself with. There's of course ABN, but
of course,
but there's a whole range of reasons why you should just give it a crack.
That's it.
And don't forget to have fun.
It's a journey.
It is a journey.
It's a great industry.
It is not the destination. It is a journey.
Like that, one of our very first conferences.
Sounds very French to me.
He was French. Cyril Papillon.
There you go.
If you're listening, Cyril, good to see you.
It's definitely a beautiful industry to be in, that's for sure. Okay, so the signature question.
I love this one.
Oh, you asked that one.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're going to keep it out, were you? Okay, this is the last one. If you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would you choose?
Oh.
But bear in mind, I own coffee here.
It's a historical figure, mate.
Oh, okay.
Current figure.
Okay, all right.
I actually, politics to one side, but I always found Paul Keating to be quite an interesting human being, but also, so as I say, politics to one side, but he also was the architect of a lot of change that happened in Australia throughout his political career. And I read his memoirs in years gone back, and he was a very witty man. He sort of could put people in his place. He was also knowledgeable about the area that he was involved in his portfolio. And as I say, to me, being an architect of a lot of change that happened in Australia, particularly in the taxation system that we're involved with. So he'd be a guy I'd love to sit down and have a coffee with and say, tell me about those years.
Tell me about your pig farms.
Tell me about your E-type Jag.
Well, I already made my own coffee, as I said. So I would have to take a coffee, of course. It would be Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders.
Nice,
and get the secret recipe.
Yeah,
well, see, Colonel, he came up with his own secret recipe, 10 years in the making, and then he opened his shop and went broke. And then he dusted himself up because they moved the road from where his business was at. He went broke. Then he jumped up and did it again, and he had another couple of knocks, and then finally kicked the goal. So persistence. So he's a persistent human being.
Yeah.
Tried a lot of stuff. So yeah, obviously a gutsy human being.
Yeah. Nice.
Don't really like this product that much, but that doesn't matter.
No. It's his business model.
Yeah.
Okay, so the signature question, well, there's two. What advice would you give yourself 1 year prior to nailing your business model and becoming the success you are now? So when you didn't.
So a year ago.
Yeah.
Or before.
You nailed.
You nailed your business.
Okay.
Before you started feeling, yeah, this is going to work. Like whether that was with PT Partners, whether ABN, or like you were thinking, is it going to work? Is it going to work? And what were you talking to yourself about?
I probably already had it, but yeah, keep going, push harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, drive and persistence, because I joined Pete in the accounting practice 6 months after he'd set the thing up. And I was turning
That
up
was scary.
with not many clients. So if I was going to be a partner, I had to put the big boy pants on and get out there and talk to people. And that was quite scary and daunting.
Yeah.
What did you do, Kelvin, to get clients?
I did some door knocking.
Yeah.
Did a bit of door knocking around the local area.
Nice.
I had a couple of early successes and fortunately some great referral sources. So don't be afraid to ask for business. Hey, I'm a young guy, I'm out there, I'm hungry, I'm keen.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for business if you're looking for more, because you'll often find that people won't necessarily just give it. It might be around a beer at a barbecue or something, but if you're actively looking for new business, don't be afraid to tell your client about that either. You'll probably find that they've got the bloke next door and three blokes up the road that they've sort of spoken to, and the lady over the road. So
They don't know, unless you ask them, they don't know you want more work. They might say, oh, he's clearly knows his stuff, he doesn't need any more work.
So just
they got to know.
be driven and be persistent.
Yeah, people want to help too, don't they? When you can see somebody that's hungry and wanting to build a business, you want to help them.
Yes.
So yeah, for sure.
Well, so what's the question again?
You already answered it. Have you forgotten?
You did answer it.
Oh, there you go.
The last one is, what legacy do you two want to leave?
I want to leave a better place than I found, and I think at ABN we're doing that, and that can be through the representation work that Pete does, and you do a lot of that I don't do, but you make a difference when you're having conversation with the policy makers and the decision makers, and if you can, we're doing some stuff at the moment that we kind of hope gets its way into more mainstream media, and we just kind of think some of that work will actually pay dividends, not only for the bookkeeping industry, but the broader tax community. So
can you share any of that or not yet?
Oh, probably too early.
Too early?
There's a trail of it. Like you look back over time, and actually mine was the same as yours, so it's an easy one. I don't look at your piece of paper. Basically, the bookkeeping industry is better off just for our existence. So we do work on the rep front, and you look back and you go, well, but for the work we did, there wouldn't be a BAS agent portal. Forever it is now. There wouldn't be interaction with government and the bookkeeping industry. There wouldn't be regulated BAS agents with the tax practitioner board. There's a whole lot of stuff that wouldn't have been, but for our early involvement, because we were there at the start. But there's also the difference you make to those people that are in business, like they're helping them build businesses, helping them keep their smarts up and all the rest of it. So. It happens on a number of different fronts.
Yeah, certainly the education piece, as we've seen in the last couple of years, particularly, there's been more and more new legislation requirements of bookkeepers to get their heads around, and I guess we got some really great accolades over that period of time where we were just saying, righto, JobKeeper, sit down, understand what it is, come and join us. Don't care if you're a member or not. We're all out there in this together, and we had bookkeepers.
Most days we were running them, weren't we?
And putting resources together, we're just throwing out there. And so it's about just leaving the place in a better state than when you joined it.
I just spoke to a bookkeeper when we were down in Sydney. Amar Latif, correct. And he said, you guys put out so much information, and he must have an accounting qualification as well.
Yes, he's a licensee.
Oh, is he?
So he
Brilliant.
used to do some of our JobKeeper presentations during that
he
period
said
of time.
we pumped out so much information that we left his accounting association for dead. I don't know who they were, but because we're doing it day by day, weren't we?
This new thing that we're
And he
writing.
would summarise it for us at the end of the week.
He was telling his accountants to go and join us. he's dealing with. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
awesome.
good. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
So
Well,
what's up for the next Bookkeeper Radio? What's the next couple of chapters?
Wow.
We just had that conversation this morning.
Yeah.
finally.
Can we tell?
We can. Let's get it out there.
Well,
Do you remember what it was?
It was my idea. My memory's not totally short. No, it was in the super guarantee space. The Auditor General's just come out with last week a report saying, is there a big superannuation gap out there, unpaid super? The conclusion is yes, there is. Are the tax department doing enough? Probably not. The tax department admit they haven't done enough because of the last couple of years where we've had bushfires and JobKeeper, so they definitely had their hands off.
Yeah.
But I think that's all about to change, and the penalties and stuff that they've got at their disposal are massive. So it's something we're going to reinvigorate. So,
Yeah,
probably
so a little plug next Wednesday, 4 o'clock.
next Wednesday, go to the first ad. Next Wednesday, 4 o'clock.
Not tomorrow, Wednesday week.
Yeah.
Register, get online.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you guys so much. It's
That's
been
all right.
an absolute privilege to be able to interview you. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge, and hopefully we can do it again one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're not trying to take over from Bookkeeper Radio.
Yeah.
You're going to get your own t-shirt.
We will need some. That's it.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thank you.
See you later.
Right. See you all. Let's see if Paige, you online, Paige, can you close the? If I just look. Here we go. Thanks, Paige. See you all. Bye.
Bye.